June 18th, 2026, BC Place Stadium, Vancouver, Canada. The most important night in Canadian football history. Canada versus Qatar, Group B, World Cup 2026. The host nation, in front of their own fans, hunting for their first ever World Cup victory. And for 50 minutes, everything was perfect. Canada were dominant. Jonathan David was producing a performance for the ages, on his way to a hat trick that would make the whole world stand up and take notice. The score was climbing. The crowd was electric. Canada were living a dream. And then the 51st minute arrived, and everything stopped. Ismail Kone was tackled from behind. Players around him immediately feared he had sustained a serious injury as he lay on the ground, holding his leg and covering his mouth with his hand. The stadium went silent. Not the silence of a missed chance or a bad decision. The deep, terrible silence of people watching something awful happen to a young man in the middle of the most important match of his life. Canada's first World Cup victory was overshadowed by the injury to Kone, who was taken off on a stretcher and later underwent surgery on a broken tibia and fibula in his left leg. 2 bones, both broken, on the biggest night in Canadian football history. And now, 6 days later, FIFA has handed down its verdict. Qatar player Asim Madibo has been given a 5-match ban for the tackle that broke the leg of Canada midfielder Ismail Kone at the World Cup. Today we are telling the full story. The tackle itself, the injury, the ban, the reaction from both players, the debate about whether 5 matches is enough, and what this means for Canada going forward without one of their most important players. Let us start from the beginning. Ismail Kone. Born in Guinea, raised in Canada, a midfielder who came through the ranks at Watford in England before establishing himself as one of the most dynamic central midfielders in the championship. Technically gifted, physically powerful, with an engine that allows him to press and recover for 90 minutes. At 23 years old, Kone had become one of the most important players in Jesse Marsch's Canada system. A player whose ability to control the middle of the pitch gave Canada the platform to play the attacking, pressing football that had made them one of the most exciting teams at this World Cup. He came into the tournament in the form of his life. Canada's first match, a 1-1 draw with Bosnia and Herzegovina, showed glimpses of what he could do. Against Qatar, he was even better. He was controlling the tempo, winning the ball back high up the pitch, driving forward. He was everywhere. The kind of performance that makes scouts across Europe sit up and take notes. And then the 51st minute. Asim Madibo, Qatar's midfielder. 23 years old himself, like Kone. Not a player with a history of violent tackles. Not someone who had built a reputation as a dirty player. In the moment, watching the footage back, the tackle looks reckless rather than deliberately malicious. Madibo came from behind. He was too late, too high. His studs connected with Kone's leg at the wrong angle with the wrong force. Madibo was issued a straight red card for the incident. The referee did not hesitate. Red, straight red, no deliberation needed. This was serious foul play, and it was clear to everyone in the stadium and everyone watching around the world. Madibo was also visibly upset and apologized in person to Kone after the game. That image, Madibo approaching Kone after the final whistle, visibly distressed, offering his apology, told its own story. This was not a cynical, deliberate act of violence. It was a reckless challenge that had devastating consequences. And Madibo knew it immediately. The medical team worked on Kone on the pitch. The stretcher came on. His teammates stood around him, some crouching down to speak to him, some with their heads in their hands. The crowd in Vancouver, a crowd that had come to celebrate Canada's greatest football night, watched in horrified silence as one of their heroes was carried off the pitch. Kone underwent surgery on a broken tibia and fibula in his left leg. Tibia and fibula, both bones of the lower leg, both broken. The kind of injury that ends a player's season immediately. The kind of injury that requires months of recovery, extensive rehabilitation, and a mental battle as much as a physical one. For a 23-year-old at the peak of his powers, it is a devastating blow that goes far beyond missing the rest of this World Cup. You can't even imagine how grateful I am to everyone who reached out and that has me in their prayers, Kone posted on Instagram. Gratitude in the face of pain. Class from a young man who had every right to be angry and bitter. Canada ultimately lost 2-1 to Switzerland at BC Place, Vancouver, on Wednesday. Kone was cheering on Canada from the sidelines in a wheelchair. there is an image that should move every football fan to the core. Ismail Kone, in a wheelchair, in his Canada jersey, watching his teammates play the match he should have been part of, unable to contribute on the pitch, supporting from the sidelines with everything he had left. That image tells you exactly what kind of person and teammate Ismail Kone is. Now let us talk about the ban. The FIFA Disciplinary Committee said the suspension was for serious foul play and that the decision was subject to appeal. 5 matches. That is what FIFA decided Asim Madibo's tackle was worth. 5 matches suspended. Which, given that Qatar have already been eliminated from the tournament, the suspension rules him out of Qatar's remaining World Cup matches, including Wednesday's encounter that saw Bosnia and Herzegovina hand the 2022 hosts a 3-1 thrashing, means Madibo will serve this ban in future FIFA competitions. International matches for Qatar, future tournaments. And immediately, the football world asked the question that was on everybody's mind: is 5 matches enough? Let us put this in context by looking at other major FIFA bans at World Cups. Uruguay striker Luis Suarez was given a 9-match suspension and banned from all soccer-related activity for 4 months for biting Italy defender Giorgio Chiellini at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. 9 matches and a 4-month ban for biting, which, while grotesque and completely unacceptable, did not hospitalize anyone, did not break any bones, did not require surgery. In 1994, Italy defender Mauro Tassati was suspended for 8 games for an elbow on Spain forward Luis Enrique. 8 games for an elbow. Luis Enrique's nose was broken, but he did not need the kind of extensive surgical intervention that Kone required. So here is the comparison that football fans are making. Suarez bites someone, 9 matches. Tassati elbows someone, 8 matches. Madibo tackles someone from behind, breaks 2 bones in their leg, ends their World Cup, requires surgery. 5 matches. 5 matches feels, to many people, like it does not reflect the severity of the consequences. 2 broken bones, surgery. A young man in a wheelchair watching from the sidelines. The rest of the World Cup, gone. Months of rehabilitation ahead. And the punishment is 5 matches, less than what Suarez received for biting. Now, there is a counter-argument, and it is a fair one. Intent matters in football disciplinary decisions. Suarez's bite was deliberate. He chose to bite Chiellini. There is no way to accidentally bite another player. Tassati's elbow on Luis Enrique was widely regarded as intentional, a cynical, hidden act of violence designed to hurt an opponent. Madibo's tackle, while reckless and dangerous, appeared to be a mistimed challenge rather than a deliberate attempt to injure. The consequences were catastrophic, but the intent was different, and FIFA's disciplinary process takes both into account. That said, the debate is legitimate, and it is not going away. When a tackle breaks 2 bones and requires surgery, many people believe the resulting ban should reflect that severity regardless of intent. The argument is simple. If you put another player in a wheelchair with your challenge, 5 matches is not a proportionate response. The Qatar Football Association said the visit from Madibo to Kone reflects the spirit of sportsmanship and the strong relationships on and off the field. Photos were posted of the visit, with one showing the wheelchair-bound Kone hugging Madibo as both sported their national jerseys. That image, Kone and Madibo hugging in their national jerseys despite everything that happened between them, is one of the most powerful images of this World Cup. 2 young men, one carrying physical pain and disappointment, one carrying guilt and remorse, and both choosing to meet each other with dignity and sportsmanship rather than anger and blame. It does not change the discussion about whether the ban was long enough, but it does say something important about the character of both players as human beings. Now let us talk about what this means for Canada. Canada's run at this World Cup has been one of the most exciting stories of the tournament. Jonathan David's hat-trick in the 6-0 win over Qatar, the same match where Kone was injured, gave Canada their first ever World Cup victory. The crowd at BC Place that night was unlike anything Canadian sport had seen in years, a nation falling in love with its football team in real time. But now, without Kone controlling the center of the pitch, Canada face a more difficult path. Canada lost 2-1 to Switzerland in their final group game. They finished second in Group B. They are through to the round of 32, which is a historic achievement in itself. But the question is whether they can go deeper without Kone's engine in midfield. Jesse Marsch has options. Canada have depth. But Kone was not just a starter. He was one of the players who made Canada's high-pressing system work. His ability to win the ball back high up the pitch was a key part of how Canada disrupted opponents and created attacking opportunities. Replacing that quality is genuinely difficult. And emotionally, the image of their teammate being carried off on a stretcher, the sight of him watching from a wheelchair, the knowledge of what he is going through while they play, that is a weight that Canada's players are carrying into the knockout rounds. It can be a motivation. The idea of winning for Kone, of going deep in this tournament in his honor. Many teams have found extra motivation from exactly this kind of adversity. But it can also be a distraction. Football is a mental game as much as a physical one. How Canada responds psychologically to losing Kone will be one of the defining factors in how far they go. For Ismail Kone himself, the road ahead is long. 2 broken bones, surgery already completed, months of rehabilitation ahead. The World Cup at home, the tournament he had dreamed of, the tournament that was his chance to show the world what he could do, is over. He watches from a wheelchair while his teammates fight for history. But he is 23 years old. He has decades of football ahead of him. The injury is serious but not career-ending. He will recover. He will come back. And when he does, the performance he was putting in against Qatar before the 51st minute showed exactly the level he is capable of reaching. The football world knows who Ismail Kone is now. Every major club in Europe watched that footage. Every scout saw what he was doing before he went down. His World Cup ended in the worst possible way, but his story is nowhere near finished. 5 matches for Modibo, surgery for Kone, Canada losing 2-1 to Switzerland without their key midfielder. 2 young men hugging in national jerseys, choosing dignity over bitterness. This is football. Beautiful, brutal, heartbreaking, human football. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to The Final Whistle for daily World Cup 2026 coverage. Drop a comment below. Do you think 5 matches was enough? Should FIFA have given a longer ban? Let the debate begin. See you in the next one.